April 12, 1943. Above the turquoise waters of the Solomon Islands, the sun glints off the ocean's restless surface, casting streaks of blinding light into the cockpit. You are strapped into the cockpit of a Mitsubishi A6M0, your hands tight around the stick as the salty wind bites through the open canopy. Below, the scattered coral reefs glimmer like jagged jewels, a reminder of the island chain's perilous beauty. Ahead, the horizon trembles with a small but growing formation of aircraft, machines unlike any you've seen in combat. These are the new US F4U Corsairs, their gull-shaped wings cutting through the sky with an almost arrogant elegance. At first glance, the Japanese pilots exchange derisive glances. "Look at that oversized monstrosity," one mutters, adjusting his goggles. "Slow, clumsy, easy prey." You tighten your grip. The Corsair's reputation has barely reached you, just whispers among the airfields. The pilots laugh, joking about taking candy from a baby. Yet there's an uneasy tension in the air, a sense that underestimating this bird could be a fatal mistake. The F4U's engines roar as it slices through the thin, humid air. Its blue fuselage gleams under the sun, the propeller slicing the wind with a sharp, menacing hum. You see the pilot's confidence falter for the briefest moment as the Corsair's formation aligns perfectly, a ballet of deadly precision. But the bravado returns quickly. After all, the Zero is nimble, proven in countless dogfights. Speed and firepower, they think, will carry them through. Your squadron leader, Lieutenant Kenji Takahashi, signals a climb. "We'll show them what real pilots can do," he calls over the radio. You follow instinctively, heart hammering. The ocean below stretches endlessly, reflecting your fear and determination. Every bird in the sky seems to pause as two forces, human and machine, prepare for a confrontation that will be remembered. As the distance closes, the Corsair's engines scream louder, shaking the air with raw power. One of your comrades, Lieutenant Hiroshi Sato, nudges your shoulder. "Ready your guns. They won't dodge forever." You glance at the Corsair ahead, its wings slicing the sunlight. It looks almost cartoonish from this angle, yet you sense the latent menace hiding within its steel frame. Then the first shots ring out, not yours, but theirs. The air erupts with tracer fire, a staccato symphony of death. Bullets whiz past your canopy, leaving streaks of smoke against the clear blue. You bank hard, narrowly avoiding a direct hit, and suddenly realize the joke is over. This is no slow, cumbersome plane. This is a predator, and you are the prey. The battle has begun, and the overconfidence that filled your squadron only moments ago begins to crumble. The ocean, once serene, now mirrors the chaos above, reflecting the aerial carnage as Corsairs twist and dive with terrifying speed. You feel the first real tremor of fear, the understanding that underestimating these machines may cost every life in your squadron. The roar of engines is deafening now, punctuated by the sharp cracks of gunfire. April 12, 1943. Hours that will etch themselves into memory, unfold above the coral-studded waters. You struggle to keep pace, maneuvering your Zero with every ounce of skill, but the Corsair seems to anticipate every dive, every roll. It is as if the plane itself has a mind, hunting with a cold precision that chills you more than the wind ever could. Lieutenant Takahashi glances over his shoulder, teeth gritted. "They can't turn like us, yet they hit every mark." His voice wavers despite his attempt at bravado. The smug laughter from earlier is gone. Each Japanese pilot who had mocked the Corsair now fights to survive, heart hammering in rhythm with the relentless propellers. You witness Sato's Zero erupt in a fiery explosion, twisting into the ocean below. The tracers paint the sky in lethal arcs, and a sudden, sickening realization hits. This is no ordinary aircraft. The F4U is fast, more than fast. It climbs, dives, and fires with devastating accuracy. Its 6.50 caliber machine guns tear through metal with surgical precision. The Corsairs work in perfect coordination, never straying from formation. One plane dives, another sweeps beneath, cutting off escape routes. Every tactic you had relied upon seems ineffective. The once mocking smiles of your comrades are replaced by wide-eyed panic. fear etching itself into the taut lines of their faces. You try a steep banking maneuver, banking left to outflank a pursuing Corsair. The machine responds instantly, banking with uncanny agility and lining up its sights. You dive, roll, twist, every instinct screaming. But still, you see bullets ripping through the sky around you. The roar of metal, tearing through air, fills your ears. One of your squadron, Lieutenant Ishikawa, is struck, and his Zero spirals uncontrollably before crashing into the water with a thunderous splash. By mid-afternoon, half of your squadron has been wiped out. The pilots who once laughed at the F4U now fight desperately, each moment stretching into an eternity. You glimpse a Corsair swooping past your wing, and in a heartbeat, it's gone. Already repositioned, already ready for the next strike. The once dismissed plane is a predator unlike any you've faced. Takashi radios, his voice strained. Regroup. If we survive. The words trail off as another Zero is sent tumbling into the sea. The tide below reflects the horrors above, a mirror of smoke, fire, and twisted metal. The laughter that mocked the Corsair has been replaced by the raw, unfiltered terror of survival. You realize that the aircraft you once thought clumsy now dictates the battle, and every second you stay in the sky is a fight against inevitable annihilation. The F4U Corsair has shattered assumptions, broken confidence, and left you, and what remains of your squadron, clinging to life in a sky that suddenly feels merciless and unforgiving. The sun has shifted lower, casting long shadows over the shimmering expanse of the Solomon Islands. April 12th, 1943, now feels like a nightmare stretching in slow motion. You scan the sky, counting the remaining zeros. Only 3 of you remain. Your heart pounds so hard it seems to echo across the cockpit, but you force yourself to focus. There is no room for hesitation. Ahead, the Corsairs swoop in with relentless precision. Lieutenant Takahashi grits his teeth, eyes narrowing. We need to break formation, split up. He banks sharply, pulling you along. The maneuver is desperate, a gamble in a storm of bullets. But the Corsairs anticipate every move, diving and climbing in perfect unison. Each F4U seems to be everywhere at once, relentless in pursuit. You watch, frozen in disbelief, as one of the Corsairs fires a sustained burst. A trail of smoke curls from Ishikawa's last remaining Zero. The aircraft spirals violently, wings snapping under the fuselage's strain, before plunging into the sea. The water erupts on impact, a cruel reminder of the deadly game being played above. The once confident squadron is reduced to scattered survivors, their skill and courage no match for the Corsair's superior engineering and firepower. Your own fingers are slick on the control stick, heart hammering, mind racing. You weave through the sky, twisting to avoid another barrage of bullets. Yet, no matter how skilled, no matter how desperate, the F4U seems to shadow your every move. Its 6.50 caliber guns cutting the air with lethal accuracy. You catch a glimpse of a wingman's plane riddled with holes, smoke trailing, engines screaming, before it cartwheels down to the ocean below. The battle becomes a blur of fire, metal, and terror. You hear Takahashi's strained voice over the radio. Pull back. We must survive and regroup over the island. But regrouping feels impossible. The Corsairs dictate the fight, striking with surgical efficiency, cutting off every escape. Every dive, every climb, every evasive maneuver seems anticipated. It is as if the aircraft itself possesses an intelligence far beyond its metal frame. Finally, only you remain, blood pounding in your ears, eyes darting across the sky. The remaining Corsairs circle above like predators, waiting for the final strike. You bank hard, forcing the Zero into a steep dive, narrowly avoiding a hail of bullets that shatter the air around you. The roar of engines and the scream of metal fill every corner of your mind. You glance down at the sea, a mosaic of smoke and wreckage, and a cold understanding settles over you. This day has shattered more than just aircraft. It has shattered assumptions, pride, and illusions of superiority. The F4U Corsair, once dismissed as a clumsy American plane, has proven itself lethal beyond imagination. It has decimated a squadron, humiliated seasoned pilots, and rewritten the rules of aerial combat over the Pacific. You feel a mixture of awe and terror, knowing that the next encounter will be just as unforgiving, and that the era of underestimating this American warbird is over. As you pull your Zero into a shallow dive, heart racing and sweat stinging your eyes, the reality of the day begins to sink in. April 12th, 1943, will be remembered not as a victory, but as a humbling crucible. The sky, once a playground for your skill and confidence, now feels like a predator's domain. The Corsairs circle above, unchallenged, their engines a relentless symphony of power. You glance at the remnants of your squadron scattered below, twisted wreckage dotting the ocean like broken toys. Takahashi's voice is a whisper over the radio, strained and distant. Never underestimate them. Never again. His words are as much for himself as they are for the pilots who survive. In that single moment, it becomes painfully clear. The F4U Corsair is more than a plane. It is a revolution in air combat, a machine designed to obliterate arrogance and complacency alike. Each maneuver, each shot fired by the Corsairs demonstrated lessons that would haunt Japanese pilots for months. Speed was no longer measured in numbers on paper, but in reaction to the sudden, lethal arcs of the Corsairs' dives. Firepower was not just a statistic, it was tangible destruction, ripping through wings and fuselages with brutal efficiency. And ruggedness. You had seen it firsthand. Damaged Corsairs clawed their way back into formation, engines smoking, yet still deadly. You bank again, narrowly avoiding a strafing pass, and notice the coordination between the Corsairs. Each pilot anticipates the other's moves, forming a deadly dance of steel and fire. It is no accident that your squadron has been torn apart. The Corsairs operate not as individuals, but as a cohesive unit, turning the sky into a trap from which few escape. The thought of facing them again in another encounter makes your pulse spike. For the rest of the day, you drift over the islands, avoiding detection, nursing your battered Zero, and reflecting on the calamity that has just unfolded. The mockery that began with laughter has turned into a sobering respect. The Corsair has forced a reckoning. Speed, power, and tactical intelligence can overturn years of confidence and tradition. You realize that the Pacific theater has changed, and that the age of underestimating American engineering is over. By the time you land, the sun has dipped low, casting long shadows over the airfield. The once proud squadron is a handful of shaken pilots, each of you carrying the scars of a day that will never be forgotten. The F4U Corsair's legacy is already written in the smoke trails over the Solomon Islands, a terrifying testament to the future of aerial warfare and a stark warning. The sky now belongs to those who respect its power and fear its fury. The evening air is thick with the smell of burned fuel and scorched metal as you taxi your battered Zero back to the airstrip. Around you, silence hangs heavier than the day's chaos, broken only by the low murmurs of the surviving pilots. Each man carries the weight of what he has witnessed. Friends lost, pride shattered, assumptions overturned. The F4U Corsair, once a target of derision, has become a symbol of awe and dread. Lieutenant Takahashi leans against his plane, wiping soot from his face. His eyes, normally bright with competitive fire, are shadowed with the memory of the day. We underestimated them, he says quietly, almost to himself. The words resonate among the few survivors. No amount of training, skill, or confidence could have prepared them for the precision, speed, and firepower of the Corsairs. The ground crew, who had watched from the safety of the field, now speak in hushed tones of the aerial spectacle they witnessed. They describe the Corsairs as unstoppable, like ghosts in the sky, and machines that rewrite the rules of combat. These are not just the words of men impressed by engineering, they are the whispered acknowledgement of a force that has rewritten the balance of air power in the Pacific. Orders come down from the higher command. Adapt tactics, reinforce formations, and never again underestimate the F4U Corsair. Training programs are rewritten, dogfighting manuals revised, and new strategies are devised. In the span of a single day, the Corsair has not just defeated pilots, it has reshaped the very doctrine of aerial warfare in the region. As night falls, you sit quietly near the hangar, gazing at the dark silhouette of the ocean. The sound of waves crashing against the reef is oddly comforting after the chaos above. You think of the pilots lost, the audacity of the Corsairs, and the merciless efficiency with which they hunted your squadron. A sense of reverence settles in, a hardened respect for the machine that once seemed laughable, now undeniable. In the years to follow, stories of this day will be told across airfields and mess halls. Japanese pilots, once cocky and dismissive, humbled by a plane they had mocked. The F4U Corsair will earn a fearsome reputation, and its legend will grow, not just for what it could do in the sky, but for the lesson it taught. Never underestimate the weapon and the skill that lies beyond your imagination.